This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon. I see we have a handful of people. That's great. As I said earlier, we will record this, or it's being recorded right now, and we will get this posted on the city's YouTube channel or page, or however that works, hopefully later this afternoon. My name is Russ Willey. I'm the Community Development Director with the City of St. Peter. It is noon, just after noon on Friday, the 13th of November. So welcome, everybody. I want to give a couple data points. A couple years ago, Ed at the Chamber arranged for the Minnesota Council on Disabilities to do a presentation regarding obligations and duties for the ADA, or American with Disabilities Act. And some of the data that they presented, and this is a couple years old, is that about 12% of the population over the age of 15 has an ambulatory disability. They reported that 52% of the population over 65 years old has a disability. And what really caught my eye is the disabled community in the United States, and I don't have the year, but it said they had a $490 billion of disposable income. So there is quite a market to tap into, on top of just making sure that they have the appropriate accommodations. Now, both landlords and the tenant have obligations under the ADA, and it applies to the public accommodations. So that's lodging, bars, restaurants, entertainment like a movie theater, public assembly like the Capitol Room, retail, service providers, public transportation, museums or other cultural facilities, public parks, educational institutionals, and exercise and recreation. The city then, to try to enhance accessibility and access to properties from those with mobility impairments. Last year, the EDA recommended, and the City Council then did create the Central Business District Accessibility Enhancement Program. The eligible properties are those that are within the Central Business District. So you can go on the city's website and find a zoning map, and it would be the purple area. So it's essentially south of Broadway, but it does include Taco John's, Jake's, and the Woolen Mill property. Then it extends down to Walnut Street, just south of the Freedom gas station. So the Halsabus Chiropractic Clinic is not in the district, but the gas station and Econo Food, or pardon me, Family Fresh are in the district. Then it includes the properties on the west side of 3rd Street, so a half block deep on that side of 3rd Street, and again up to Broadway. This program is to fund accessibility enhancements, so that can encompass a lot of different projects. It could include a ramp, a handicapped accessible ramp. It could include a handicapped accessible lift. It could include a redesign of the entryway to make it handicapped, which would perhaps be more than a lift, more comprehensive. But the programs that were funded last year in the inaugural round were all automatic door opening systems. We installed one at Swedish Contour. We installed 2 actually, because they have a vestibule at Riley Tannis Law Office, and we installed 2 because they have a vestibule at Kind Vet Clinic. Installation went seamless. The program seemed to work very well, and those loan recipients are extremely happy with the improvement that's made to their property. If it requires, if it's extensive, so if you're replacing a door with an alternative design or a comprehensive alteration to the entry, those would likely require review and approval of the Heritage Preservation Commission. And I know Eric's on, he's gone through that a number of times with properties that he represents for Fisher Coldwell Banker. But I did not require that the automatic door openers went to the HPC, since the apparatus is all inside, with the exception of the little push button to operate the door. So those programs did not go through the Heritage Preservation. But again, if you're changing the doorway design or materials, or doing a comprehensive facade enhancement to make accessibility improvements, then it likely will have to go through and to get the consent of the Heritage Preservation. Now that can be problematic. What I usually point out is the Herbert and Gerbert's property. There's really not room in the back for a handicapped entrance, and there is a significant elevation change there. I think there's maybe 3 or 4 steps from the sidewalk level up to the front door. It would be very difficult, in my view, to provide a renovation of that in a manner that wouldn't perhaps irreparably harm the historic characteristics of that property, which is in the St. Peter Heritage Preservation District, as well as the National Register of Historic Places District that's been placed on us by the federal government. The maximum loan amount per property is going to be capped at $25,000. The door opener systems, I think they were all, well, we did 3 storefronts and it cost us just under $13,000. So I think the 2 with the double vestibules were in the $4,500 range. So we could do a number of them, but if someone was proposing a comprehensive alteration to the front, it might be bumping up a couple tens of thousands of dollars in that case. So what has happened in the past is last year the council and the mayor did appoint a grant review committee. It included representatives of the Historic Preservation Commission, Nicollet County Historical Society, a member of the city council, and members of the business community, but they weren't required to meet because we didn't have applications that exceeded our funding. But this year, if we have applications that total more than the grant dollars available, we will have a committee assemble and they will pick the grant recipients. If you don't get funded in that round in anticipation of a 2022 program, you certainly could get in that. Or there are other funds that aren't a grant program that would be available at a low interest or a no interest as a loan. To receive the fundings, the business owner then is going to have to give proof that they've got the property insured at least in an amount equal to the recorded debt. So we'll go down to the court office or courthouse, we'll go to the recorder's office and look at the recordings of mortgages and other liens, etc. We add that up and that's the minimum insurance that the property owner needs to maintain. If it is a government property, city hall, county courthouse, etc., it is not eligible to participate. The post office is another example. However, if it's privately owned and you have a government tenant, your property would be eligible. But those properties that are owned by a unit of government would not be. Applications are going to be due this year by 4:30, the last business day of February, which would be February 26th. So they need to be in my office by 4:30. The application submittal is very simple. It's a one-page application. Today on the city's website, if you go to the community development department's section of that, you'll find the guidelines. The loan application will actually be posted hopefully later this afternoon, or if not, in very short order. So it's a one-page application. We do require, again, you may need to submit a photo or 2 of the entry or the doorway that you intend to put an opener on or alter or replace. But other than that, it's very, very simple. And the 3 that were funded last year did all comment that it was a very seamless and easy process for them to go through. If you're going to do a comprehensive, you need to get the building plans in. For the automatic doors, there really were no blueprints or plans that were submitted. They're pretty standard installation. And then we need 2 quotes. So all of those folks, there were really only 2 in the area that are kind of active. So they had quotes from the same one and we were able to split that up. If you are doing an automatic door opener, the door opener company does not do the electric work. So you'll also need to engage an electrical contractor. And then this year, we will roll in the building permit because there's going to be a small building permit and we'll roll that into the grant program also. In the application, one of the things we're going to ask is your estimated daily traffic count. So again, as we would review them, if there's a need to have a committee, that may be one of the deciding factors is kind of your turnaround or the number of people coming in and out of your doors. The grant recipients will be notified sometime in March, April timeline in anticipation then of construction activities happening then as the weather would allow. The program for 2021 is being funded by the interest income from the city's revolving loan funds, from the various revolving loan funds that we maintain. And for 2021, a little bit less than last year, $28,434 is budgeted. If we do have projects that do exceed that amount, I would ask the city council if they'd be willing to commit some of the other loan dollars towards that program, because we'd really like to see these improvements happen it's been, 30 years since the ADA law was passed, and why we've made some progress, or in some cases significant progress. There's still a number of properties that remain inaccessible. As I said, you get a building permit for the project. The agreement that you're going to sign will also say that you are going to maintain that improvement for a minimum of 15 years. Kind of sounds ridiculous, but we'd hate to fund a program to enhance your accessibility, to install a door opener, and then perhaps down the road, 3-4 years from now, you don't repair it, and then it's inoperable. That then would be problematic, and I'll explain that in a moment. The funds are distributed at the completion of the project. So you send me the bills that the door opener or contractor submitted to you, submit those to my office. I then will cut a check and we'll get those paid. But they are distributed at the conclusion of the renovation. Now, I've mentioned grant, and I think I might have mentioned loan, and the program is set up as a 15-year forgivable loan. So if you maintain the improvements for 15 years, you will have no repayment obligation. The funds then are forgiven 1/15 a year until the end of the 15th year, then when the balance would be zero. There are some other information on just some general information on ADA. There's a publication from the Small Business Administration. I don't know if you can read it, or I'll be able to read it, ADA Guide for Small Businesses. And then again, there's the Minnesota Council on Disabilities. They've got some helpful information then. A lot of that's about the interior of your store, circulation, bathrooms, and other issues that may be related to those with disabilities, or making sure that the proper access is provided. That's about all I had prepared. Again, we were able to do 3 door openers last year. It seemed to be very successful. All 3 of those property owners are very appreciative of the assistance, and we're thankful that we've had the opportunity to provide help. I'm going to open it up to questions. So I think we've got a small enough crowd. So if you turn on your microphone and ask a question, I think we can manage this. Anyone at all? Well, hearing no questions, like I said, the application should be on the city's website. If you go to City of St. Peter or stpetermn.gov, there'll be a toolbar. You can go to departments, and you'll find community development on the left-hand side. If you click on that, then you'll be able to get the one-page application. And right now the guidelines are posted. So there's about 3 pages of program guidelines that kind of talk about how it's administered and what the obligations are. So one more time, I'll ask if there's any questions. If not, thank you all for showing up. And I hope to see applications come in on your behalf, or behalf of your clients, or properties that you represent. Everybody have a wonderful afternoon and a great weekend. Thank you again.
Thank you, Russ.
Glad to help.
Russ?
Oh, yeah, we got a question.
Yeah. Hi, this is Julie from Jay Zender's office.
Oh, hey, Julie.
I just figured out how to get my microphone on. Anyway, Jay is wondering if the grant would apply to replacing a ramp, a wood ramp with a metal ramp.
I would think, Julie, that could be considered, but if we have a large number of applications, it might not then be high priority, given that there is a wooden ramp right now. I guess that's the best answer I could give you right now.
Okay, all right, that works. Thank you.
But, yeah, I'd recommend submitting one. Like I said, if we do have room in the funding, or if I can talk the council into throwing a couple extra $1,000 towards the project, yeah, I would recommend that. So thank you, Julie.
Okay, yep, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Say hey to Jay for me.
Will do.
Anyone else? Wonderful. Well, everybody, you have a wonderful afternoon and a great weekend. Thank you again.
Yep, you too.